Hello, I'm James Candy with Friendly Shade, and in this video, I'm going to give you a quick overview of our Normalizer program and all the cool stuff you can do with it. Okay, first off, what does Normalizer do? Normalizer was built to do four things: convert normal maps to height maps, convert height maps to normal maps, mix normal maps together, and normalize 32-bit images. It's also designed to handle high-resolution images quickly and efficiently. Okay, let's just take a moment to get acquainted with the interface. It's very simple. If you want to open an image, go to File, Open, or Control-O for the hotkey, or just click on this folder and open an image. You've got your four basic tools over here, and you've got your console window for people who like that. You can also move these things around if you want to put the toolbar up there, if you want to put this thing on the side. You can customize it however you want. For demonstration purposes, I'm just going to close this. You can fit your image to the screen, or you can zoom in 100%. You can also hit Control-0 or Control-1 to do the same thing. If you're zoomed in all the way, you can use the middle mouse wheel to scroll up and down, or hold Alt to scroll side to side. You can also hit Control plus or minus to zoom in and out in increments. Okay, those are the basics. Let's explore each of these four tools. This is currently my favorite tool, because I've never seen one like it before. We can literally take a normal map and create a height map from it. Now, some things to keep in mind when you do this. This is only an approximation. Normal maps don't contain any height information whatsoever, so Normalizer is essentially making an educated guess on what the height map should look like. For now, organic surfaces tend to give the best results. Hard surfaces with perfectly flat areas and sharp edges are trickier, but we have more ideas on how to improve the algorithm in the future. Anyway, let's try it out. Click the folder or use the Control-O shortcut to open your normal map. Then click this button, and guess what? That's right, you don't even have to move a slider. It just figures it out by itself. Here's the result rendered in Blender, alongside the original mesh that the normal map was baked from. Pretty crazy, right? Here's a little tip. You can actually click in this gray area here to open up a new image. I'm going to open up a height map because we're going to try out displacement to normals. When we click this button, we see we get two sliders this time. One to control the strength, and another to enable super sampling if we want to, all the way up to 4 times. I'm going to leave this off, but sometimes you do get better results with it, so it's something to try out, and doesn't add that much more processing time. I'm going to stick with a value of 1 just so we see what we get, and let's hit OK. You can see that finished pretty fast, so there's our result. Now that looks a little weak to me, so let's go back to the image we started with, click the button again, and I know for this map, I actually just want to use a value of 5. So I'm going to go ahead and click that, and we have a much more pronounced result now. And in fact, I'm going to just compare this with the result I got in XNormal when I baked that out. You can see they're almost identical. They're really similar, actually. The main difference is this gray area here in the map we just converted from a height map. Kind of looks like a fingerprint. Actually, it's because in our height map, that's a perfectly flat area, and that's kind of a bug in the program right now. If you have perfectly flat areas, you get these gray areas, which pretty much you're just going to have to go into a paint program and paint over that. For now, it's something we do want to resolve in the future, but just something to be aware of when you're using the program. Remember, it is in beta currently. It's not an alpha program, it's a beta program, which actually means better, believe it or not. But let's also just compare this with the baked map we got in XNormal. If I flip between these, you can see it's pretty much the same, but there are little differences, most noticeably in this area here. Let me switch over to another area so we can compare more. Okay, here we go. So this is the result we got when we converted in Normalizer. This is the map we baked in XNormal. Overall, it's the same result, but the high frequency detail is just stronger in Normalizer than it is in XNormal. Maybe that's something you want. In the future, we do want to include an option to kind of control that. The strength of the high frequency and the low frequency, and I guess the mid frequency details. But for now, just something to keep in mind. Although, overall, they are pretty close. Here's another tool that I think is quite useful. Let's say you want to combine 2 different normal maps into a single image. You may have tried this before in Photoshop, using the overlay blending mode. While this may be sufficient in some cases, Photoshop is not well suited to this task and doesn't really produce an accurate result. This is where the normal mixing tool in Normalizer comes in handy. First, I'll open the normal maps I want to blend. With the images opened, now I'll click the Mix Normals icon. In the top field, I'll select one of the normal maps I've opened, and in the bottom, I'll select the other. On the right, we have the option to invert the values of either of the normal maps. And below that, we can choose to invert the order of the maps. This is important, because the order the maps are mixed can give different results. You may want to play with this to see which result you like best. In this example, the resulting blend looks like we have a face with sand and rocks on it. But if we invert the order of the maps, now it looks more like a rocky, sandy ground with a face on it. See what I mean? Additionally, you have the option to control the blending of the two maps with a mask, which can be specified here. The last tool we'll look at today is the Normalize tool, which is located right here. So what does this do, and when would you use it? Essentially, it takes a 32-bit image and converts it into a 16-bit image. Why would you want to do that? Well, because sometimes it's difficult to work with 32-bit images. If you want to take your height map and do extra editing on it, that might be difficult if you're using a program that doesn't support 32-bit images well, like Photoshop. If you convert a normal map to a height map in Normalizer, the resulting height map will be a 32-bit image, so you may choose to use this Normalize feature to convert it to 16-bit before saving it. Of course, you can also use it for maps generated outside of the program. Just make sure it's actually a grayscale image, because it doesn't work with RGB images. Let's try it out. Besides mapping the 32-bit values to 16-bit, you also have the option to specify minimum and maximum points, in case certain areas of the range aren't important to you. Let's say I don't care about the deepest part of the terrain here. I can enable the clipping view and move the slider to specify which parts of the range I want to include and which parts I want it to disregard. Click OK, and now we have our converted map, normalized within the 16-bit space with only the data I needed. I hope this brief introduction has helped you become comfortable with the program. It's available for free over on the new Friendly Shade website, beta.friendlyshade.com. We've been working hard on a lot of exciting new updates coming to the new Friendly Shade website, but they're not quite ready to be unveiled yet. If you'd like to receive updates, you can subscribe to the Friendly Shade newsletter. And if you have any questions or suggestions for the Normalizer program, please let us know. Once you start using the program, I'm sure you'll probably start thinking of ways it could be useful in your own unique workflow. I'm James Candy, and thank you for watching.